This is an Ice Guys Patreon exclusive.
Welcome to another Ice Guys NHL team season preview video as 32 teams in 32 days rolls along. Ian Cameron, and we are here to talk Washington Capitals with someone that helped us to talk Washington Capitals last year as well before the start of the season. Friend of the show, Nikita Kashersky, back with us to talk about the Capitals once again. Nikita, what's up? How are you?
I'm good, Ian. Thank you so much for having me, man.
It's
I'm
good to
looking
have you.
forward
So
to
how
the
are
hockey
things going
season.
in life, family-wise and also business-wise? Cash Sports Management. I love the name because it just smells and sounds like success. A name with the word cash in it. Now we know it's cash, not cash with a K because of your last name, not C.
Yeah.
But still, it's got that sound like that's a successful business. It's a great business. It's having a lot of success when you have a name like that, cash in it. Tell us how that's going.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Thanks. It's going well. It's getting busier and busier. Growing little by little, but I'm not in a rush. I'm not, chasing the numbers here and everything. I want to help out. That's the most important. I want to help out guys, guide them in the right way. Share my experiences, share what I went through. And like I said, most of my clients, they're international guys who, just want to give them an opportunity to, come here and play sports and then also be a student, which is very important. So be a student athlete.
That sounds like you get a personal satisfaction from doing what you're doing, considering some of the struggles maybe you encountered and experienced when you came from Russia to North America to play pro hockey. And it's like, if I can help some of these younger generation kids from Europe and come over here and just and help them, find a place to go to school, find a place for training, find a place to play hockey, and as you mentioned before we started, you've got players that you're dealing with as clients that are in other sports as well. It gives you that satisfaction, like I'm easing their process of trying to migrate here and play and settle in here in the States.
Well, yeah, you got there exactly, what my plan was. It's to help out, give them information, share experience, and get them acclimated here. It's a different, obviously, environment. Different school. You got to be used to different type of things. Even relationship between players and coaches is totally different here than, back in where I grew up. So it's something I, share with them. And, if they stay with me for a year, that's fine. If they move on and they can handle things on their own, that's totally fine. Definitely not going to hold them. I'm only happy for them to mature and grow up and be successful.
So as we transition, and we wish you all the best, continued success with it, obviously,
Thank
the
you.
business. And before we get into the Washington Capitals, I want to make it known, we don't have Nikita to talk Washington back-to-back years because he's a Capitals fan. It's got nothing to do with fandom or anything like that, but he's got the personal connection to the head coach of the Washington Capitals, Spencer Carberry, his old teammate from the minor league days back in the day, playing as a teammate of Spencer Carberry's. Got a question. How often, either texting, phone call, face-to-face, how often do you communicate with Spencer throughout the course of a year?
A few times. I mean, if there's some, highlights throughout the season. Obviously, last season it was just how well he was doing, birthday, Christmases, Thanksgivings, shoot him a text message or like a voice message, maybe, call, birthday. I saw him personally at the, I saw him at the day when Ovi scored the breaking record goal.
I noticed that you got the VIP pass to that big day. Phenomenal.
Well, it was actually different. So, I'm not gonna lie, it was not that day. So what happened is the whole story is actually pretty funny. It was me and my friend who went to the game. It was me, my friend, and my son. And it was probably January where, my friend and I were just sitting in, at the office. We're kind of, hey, is he gonna break the record or not, type of thing. And we're like, all right, how many he's got left? And I literally like look up the calendar, and I believe what I've done is I just kind of looked it up in terms of like, all right, how many goals he's got left? What's the pace he was scoring on? And type of thing. And I was like, let's see if he's playing in New York somewhere in like, let's say 20 games or something. And he actually played New York. It was Islanders. What was the date? I forgot. April 4, something like that. I
I think
forgot.
I'm bad for remembering it too, but I think you're in the ballpark. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was April 4th, and then and then they have another one with New York next week. the week after. So they had two in New York, and the game before that was, I think, was it like Chicago at home, I think, or something, where he tied it, right? I think it was against Chicago. So we looked it up, and I was like, all right, let's buy tickets while they're still not that expensive. And so I said, all right, let's do for that one, for the first one. So we actually bought tickets in January for that game. Imagine that. So we could have sold it like tenfold if we didn't want to go. Because at the day before, like the night when he scored the tying, and then obviously my friend and I, obviously I wanted them to score, but I was like, all right, please don't score right now, like not a hat trick. And then when they pulled the goalie,
Yeah,
obviously I
April
heard,
4th, he tied the record against the
there you go,
Blackhawks. Yeah, April
there you go,
6th is when he broke it against the Islanders. Yeah.
there you go. So April 6th was, yeah. So April 4th, when he scores two, right away we're like, I'm sweating it out. I'm like, come on. I was like, I want you to beat it, but like I would be happy for him, but I was like, just hold on for one game. And so as soon as they pulled the goalie, I knew he was not going to happen, because he said he doesn't want to do it on the empty net. And I texted my friend right away. I was like, dude, we're golden. He's doing it in Islanders. And we went, like, buying a ticket in January. So it was incredible. Yeah. So the story is, we went to the game. Obviously, I spoke to Varlamov as well. So we had the passes for after the game, but imagine, I mean, he broke the record. Nobody knows when's the next
Wow. So
time.
the timing had to be perfect for that to all work out, and it did.
Yeah, it did. It worked out. Like it was perfect. We went to the game, and then what do you know? First power play, boom, he scores. I was lucky enough, I had it on a video too, but I was actually recording every single shift. So every single shift I was recording it. Thank God it wasn't too long. But and so after the game, obviously everybody wanted to speak to him, take pictures. So it was taken. We're waiting after the game with the passes. The way they had it set up is like you're in the stands. But it was taken forever, and like literally we had to be kicked out. Like the security kicked us out. As soon as we walk out of the arena, my son was a little bit upset because he had the hat with him, had the marker to sign, the pucks and everything. And so, he's also upset because he told his friends at school that, hey, he told my daddy, he knows Ovechkin, we're gonna go to the game and stuff. So, and all of a sudden he calls, he FaceTimes me, and he's like, dude, where are you? And I was like, listen, they had to kick us out. He's like, I'm very sorry. Thank you for coming. Obviously, I was saying congratulations to him, everything, that, how happy I was for him. And after that, seeing my son so upset, I was like, listen, you're playing next week. I was like, just make sure you come out next week, okay, please. And he was like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. So I bought the tickets right away for next week. So next week we go. And then, he comes out, he grabs me, we go like in the hallway, like to the locker room. And, Spencer Carby, I texted him as well. I was like, listen, I'll see you there. So he comes out too. We had some pictures taken and stuff, so it was
There
great.
you go. The infamous pictures that we saw. They're not from the April 6th record-breaking game or day. No, it was the following week when
It was the
Spencer gives you
following
the
week.
little, oh, sorry for this fuck up that happened. Let me extend an olive branch here and bring you and your boy out for another game. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a lot of fun, yeah. But
Yeah.
so
Good
it was
stuff.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
Carbs, yeah, he's great, some great memories. Obviously, him and I were part of Stingray's championship team, back in 2009. Great time celebrating. And then next season, him and I were teammates as well. And then I think he went into transition to coaching. But couldn't be happy for him. I mean, he got the coach of the year. Same thing. Just I don't like bothering, like calling and stuff like that. They're busy, so I just usually like a voice message or something.
Yeah, but if I had set an over-under line, if we're betting this thing, over-under number of times Nikita speaks to Spencer Carberry in a year, I'd say 5.5, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably would be,
pretty
yeah.
good number.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty good odds maker, so there you go.
There you go.
There you
I
go.
was choosing when my friend, like when we actually got the tickets and we actually, chose the right game, everything worked out. He's like, dude, you got to go play the lotto. I was like, he hasn't been working out like that.
Great story. It reminds me, you saying you had to hang on for one more day. It reminds me of the 90s song, Wilson Phillips, Hold On for
Yeah.
One More Day. That's a guilty pleasure song. It's like this female singing duo. I think they were related to the daughters of the Beach Boys, or one of the members of the Beach Boys. Boys or something too, if I'm not mistaken. But that was a huge hit in the early 90s. I think of that song, Hold On for One More Day. That's what you were doing.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Now I know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
the song, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Very popular early 90s song. Yeah, that's what you were doing. Hold on for one more day, Ovi, setting that
Mhm.
record. And
I know, just
obviously,
wait. I was
yeah.
just wait. You know, you'll break it. Just wait.
Yeah. Great segue into the Capitals. Ovechkin. How do you
Yeah.
follow that up? My goodness. 44 goals, 73 points last year, including becoming the all-time leading goal scorer in NHL history. It's funny about Ovi is that he actually surpassed his goal total by 13 from 2 years ago. It was 2 goals more than he had in 2022, 3 years ago. So you look at it, and obviously it was just a spectacular season, 73 points, and a guy that is now just turned 40. It's impressive to watch that he can still play at that kind of level. I think when you look at Ovechkin this year, I think Dylan Strome has been a nice centerman for him to work with. There's been that chemistry there. I don't know about Beauvillier being on the right wing side of that top line, and that's right now what a lot of the websites have is the lineup combinations. And Spencer's not going to have that set in stone, obviously. He's going to obviously experiment in that. But the one thing I'll say about Beauvillier, because I've given him a lot of grief. Alex, my colleague, has given him a lot of grief. He has struggled in recent years. I remember he didn't do much when he was in Chicago. Didn't really find, and he's been bounced around too from, started his career for many years with the Islanders, promising goal scorer, went to Vancouver, didn't exactly get it going there, went to Chicago, didn't do much there. Nashville, didn't do much there. Pittsburgh, up and down, up and down. And then he goes to Washington, second half of last year, and he started slow there. But I actually found as the regular season went on and into the playoffs, he did start to find a little bit more, find another level, start to get some of that offense going. And if you look at his numbers, Nikita, from Anthony Beauvillier last year, actually was an increase from 2 years ago. Because you look at last year, 17 points more than he had 2 years ago. So last season was a step in the right direction for him. No question about that. So, the 15 goals, 10 assists, 25 points, certainly more than he had 2 years ago. So that's a good sign, at least for the Capitals, that he started to find a little bit of that mojo again. He'd better keep that mojo, though, Nikita, if he's going to be playing with Strome and Ovechkin. And I'm not saying this is going to happen, but
I don't think that would be the line. I mean, he'll start there, but I don't see it. I mean, I think they're going to go back to maybe Wilson getting in there. I don't know if they're going to put Leonard in there.
Do they give Ryan Leonard the in his first full season, as an NHLer? Do they give him that opportunity maybe?
I think they will need some speed in there, Ovi's not the fastest, definitely, but you need somebody who can dish that puck. I think they need a little speed out there. Strome, I don't think he's the fastest guy, but he's definitely the guy who can slow it down in terms of, just being how poised he is. I think that's a good line.
53 assists last year, great playmaker, no question.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, what a pickup on him. I mean, I did not expect that coming from him,
Oh, in Arizona and Chicago, his career was kind of languishing a little bit, and it was for a guy that obviously was a first-round pick, and you're just waiting to see, well, maybe it's not going to happen. Maybe
he had that he's not going to
hit his stride at any point. But boy, has he done that these last 2 years with Washington.
Well, I mean, he's not an old guy, he's only 28. I think that's, his prime right now going into, and he had great years with Capitals for 65, 67, 82. Great year for him. 29 goals, that's the thing. That's a lot of goals. I think that's that's where he's going to stay. I think he's in that realm of 65, 85 type of thing. Unless they put Leonard in there and he starts tearing it up with his shot, so maybe he'll get to 100. Who knows?
You mentioned Coach of the Year for your buddy Spencer Carberry. I think one of the reasons he deserved it was got something out of fucking Pierre-Luc Dubois last year. That, I think, is definitely, you got to give Spencer a little credit for that, because suddenly this is a guy that we were frustrated beyond belief with Pierre-Luc Dubois with what we saw from him toward the end of his tenure in Winnipeg. It didn't really click in LA at any point. Just didn't seem like it was a good fit. He was disappointing there. He had the -9 plus minus. He only had 16 goals, 40 points in 82 games. And then he goes to Washington. When Washington picked him up, I'm like, geez, Washington, yikes. I don't like the way this guy's game is trending right now. I just don't like it at all. And yet here he comes back to Washington, and he ends up with 20 goals, 46 assists, 66 points, which is 26
Plus
points more than he
27.
had with LA. And it's a career high in points last year.
Yeah.
Now, he did
Yeah.
still take some dumb penalties. I didn't love the way he played in the playoffs, but still, you got a good regular season out of him. And I think that speaks to your buddy, Spencer Carberry, working with him, getting the most out of him, pushing the right buttons. So credit to Spencer, credit to Pierre-Luc Dubois, though, because he did have a better season finally. And he needed one because his career was kind of tanking before he got to Washington, and he had a better season. Give him credit.
Yeah, the thing, with me, like I know Spencer, as a person, when he was a hockey player, and I think, when I remember when he became an assistant coach, it's not like his personality changed, but his relationship with players definitely changed. Like he made it right away straight that like, I'm a coach now, like you know me very well on a, very close, type of bond, but now it was completely different, and he kept it very honest. It wasn't like, when he became an assistant, it wasn't like, Cash, you can do whatever you want because I know you type of thing. Like he was very strict, straight to the point. He told you what he thought. And I think that kind of thing came here, but obviously I haven't been, coached by him. I don't know how he does it, but I mean, tremendous. He gets things out of it, and everywhere he goes, like, I mean, I remember he went with to when he was a head coach in South Carolina. I was already at the different clubs. I mean, he was there, like he went almost to the finals his first year. He was a coach of the year, I think, for
The
South
buy-in was
Carolina.
immediate wherever he went coaching. Yep, people bought in and
And
said, "Hey, I'm buying what he's selling, and he's going to make me better. He's going to get our team to play the way we can play to be successful, and that's all it takes sometimes." Yep.
yeah, he's been tremendous. I don't know what he's doing, but I mean, I'm sure he had, some good coaches he spoke with, who were, his someone he looked up to, probably like
He's
Jared
clearly got
Bednar.
player development skills, in my opinion,
Yeah,
because of
yeah,
what he did with PLD. And look at what we saw out of Alexei Protas last year for the Washington Capitals. My next
yeah.
player I'm going to talk about here, who I think has become a force as a top six forward. Certainly last year he was. And I think Spencer Carberry deserves some credit there. Look at the jump in Protas. He goes from 6 goals in 78 games 2 years ago, 30 goals
30.
last year, 66 points. That is 37 points more than 2 years ago. 66 points in 76 games and a plus 40 for Alexei Protas. I mean, that guy showed real power forward potential for
Yeah.
this Capitals team last year, Alexei Protas. Now, you worry
Don't
after
don't
such a
forget
big
his brother.
jump.
Don't forget his brother is coming up too, right?
Yes,
He was drafted and he had like what, like 50 goals, maybe more in juniors. He's like, you never know. Maybe there'll be like two of these guys, playing in Capitals soon together. And if
another
he stays
brotherly
that point,
duo.
I mean, yeah, and power point, power forward. He looked great. I mean, just using his frame, right, the shot, get into the dirty areas. I mean, he was great. He was awesome. And hopefully he keeps it that way. And remember, well, I hit on 2 points on your show is 1 year. Remember Nichushkin when everyone was so high about him. And remember, I told him Remember, I told you, when we talking about his contract, and I said they overpaid.
Yeah,
He was great at, in the playoffs, that year where he got his contract, but I was always kind of like, I think they overpaid because the trend was just, not up to that money. But he's a great player, obviously, but and last year, remember when we were talking about Capitals, I told you they did a great job, signing some pieces, so um, hopefully they'll do the same thing. I hope they're the team to beat again, and I think they make the playoffs just because the same group they have, they had to get it done. Again, they have two great goalies. I think that's very important right now, and their decor is pretty solid too.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think you look at why did Washington go from barely making the playoffs 2 years ago to, one of the best teams in the regular season last year in the entire league? Well, like I said, Ovechkin turned back the clock, amazing year. Strome, great year. Protus, breakout year. Connor
Yeah.
McMichael, breakout year for the Washington Capitals as well.
Yeah.
He established himself as a legit, strong, really good NHL center with 26 goals, 31 assists last year for the Capitals. The year Tom Wilson had offensively, obviously, with 33 goals, 32 assists, and 65 points. They suddenly had a nucleus in the top six and really the top nine that they could get offense from a bunch of different places. And what's funny is as long as Protus, PLD, Wilson, Ovi, McMichael, those guys they're going to maybe come back down to earth a little bit offensively, but even if they don't just fall right off offensively, then you got Miroshnichenko, who's probably going to have more of an impact offensively this year. Hendrix Lapierre could be someone that could make more of a difference as well. So, like I say, when Sonny Milano's back in the fold here, Nick Dowd's one of my favorite depth centers in the NHL. That guy does so much for a hockey team. Never mind the numbers. It's about the things he can do on the ice to make a team better. No question. So, the forward nucleus is still good. Now, I worry that some guys are going to level off this year. Some players like Ovi might, as Father Time continues to knock on his door, that maybe Brodus just cannot duplicate what he did last year. McMichael, maybe the same thing. Wilson, maybe the same thing. But as long as you don't get all of them collectively having a down year, Washington's not going to fall off a ton. I think they're going to come back to the pack a little bit, but I'm with you, Nikita. I still think they're a playoff team, certainly. I don't think they're going to fall off that much. And the blue line, Fehervari and Carlson, Chikrin, Van Riemsdyk, Sandin, and Matt Roy. I think that's a solid group. I worry about their depth a little bit. You got some unknowns in Declan Chisholm, and Dylan McElrath's been pretty much a career minor leaguer. Not that there's anything wrong with that, as our guy Nikita knows. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm talking about, being a regular in the NHL. We'll see. And he's been around the block. Louis Belpedio, Vincent Iorio. So, like I said, you do have some questions about whether those minutes can be filled at a high level is what I mean from Chisholm and McElrath and all the extras. But I don't mind the six of Fehervari, Carlson, TVR, Jacob Chikrin, Rasmus Sandin, Matt Roy. That's solid. And yeah, Logan Thompson. This is a guy that had a great year last year. For him, that was the year that said, yeah, I am a number one caliber goaltender in the NHL. 2.49 goals against average, 910 save percentage. He got this opportunity with Washington to show that he could be a number one goalie. We knew he had the chance to take over that role because, with all due respect to Charlie Lindgren, that's not lock, stock, and barrel that he had his hold on and his grip on the number one job. So there was a real opportunity for Logan Thompson, and Nikita, he certainly made the most of it.
Yeah, I think he did. I mean, if you look at it, look at hhis numbers. I mean, 31 wins, 6 losses. That's any day you'll take it any day. 0.91. That's awesome. I think he had a great group in front of him, obviously, and I think he was very talented. Like when they signed him, and they had him and Lindgren, like I told you last year, I think that's a solid one too. And if you look at the plays. If you look at the numbers in terms of games, I think one played 42 games. I think that's perfect, and the other one 39 or something. Ended up being, so I think they're almost 50-50 in the split. And that's what keeps them fresh, I think. That's what. And the other thing I wanted to say, I think their whole roster, if you look at the ages, they're like in their primes, between like 25, a couple of them, obviously 3 guys are over 30, 35. But then that's it. Everyone else is in their prime, I think, and that's where they like kind of.
Yeah, they get ripped for being an old team. They're not as old as you think.
I don't think they're old. That's the thing. I think I think they're perfect. Like in their prime. I mean, their oldest guy obviously is Ovi. That's it. The next one is Dowd, Carlson.
Yeah. Ovi, Dowd, and Carlson are getting up there, but they're not. Other than Ovi, Ovi is old, but he's still good, obviously. Dowd and Carlson.
37. Yeah. I mean, Yeah, they're there. Dowd, Carlson. I mean, yeah, one Rimsdyke. That's it.
Tom
Everyone
Wilson's still
else,
only 31. I keep thinking he's older than that, but he's not. He's
no.
31.
But I still think that's prime. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? And
I
and
agree.
that's what I think. And that's what I think they're great right now because most of the player in the prime, they're not overly young. You know, the youngest guy is Leonard, and that's it. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of experience in there, just a little bit of that young blood coming up, and guys who are like, I don't want to say blossoming, but that's what it kind of looks like it. Um, I think I love it. You know, I love the mix of it.
Yeah, like I said, I still think Washington is a play. Now, I was alarmed
Hmm.
by the playoff performances a little. I'm not alarmed, but it was a little mildly disappointing just because they had this great regular season. They struggled they got past Montreal, but it was not easy. It
Hmm.
was a struggle for Washington to get
Well,
past Montreal. And then
Montreal,
I
I
was
mean, how hot
stunned.
they got
Yeah.
hot. You know, they got hot, and I mean, look at the roster too. They're looking young and really good.
Yeah, this is the start of a period, Nikita, for Montreal where they're going to be, on the ascension, up the ranks, and they're going to be looking to put together, and they're already closing in on putting together a team that's going to perennially contend, for a Stanley Cup. And then, of course, I was really really surprised at just how outclassed at times they were by Carolina. In the second round, that was a series that really surprised me. Just how much they struggled. They couldn't really get much going. But Carolina, with that structure of theirs, they got obviously very solid goaltending. It
Hmm.
was difficult for Washington to get their offense going, really, in that
To be
series against Carolina.
one thing that I'm concerned, and obviously watching them live too and stuff like that, is the speed. You know, they have a couple of speedsters, but I feel like
Their team
that's what
speed
the
collectively is not quite what other teams are. And
yeah.
Alex, Mike B. Smith, my colleague, our good buddy, he said the same thing. When you watch Washington, the eye test tells you they don't look as fast as some other teams in the NHL.
Yeah, even like the TV doesn't give that effect, at least like, when I watch them. But then, obviously if you watch them play against maybe an even team or something, yes, they're great on defense, the way they, work their systems and everything, it's maybe is not as noticeable. But when you watch them play against some really fast teams, that's where you notice. And like when I was watching them, like, I was, 3 games of theirs watching them as two with the Islanders, and Islanders obviously wasn't, the best team there. But it's still like I was like, all right, they're not fast. They just play great systems. They swarm you, a little bit. They play great system, kind of their hockey. They catch you. Power play is great. But that's what I've noticed right away. They're not fast, and I didn't see anyone really be that fast. Like obviously, like Leonard was seen. Like you could see how fast he is, but anyone didn't really like spark like my attention in terms of the speed from the team. That's the one thing, that's the concern, I think, in the playoffs, same thing, like because the way the hockey is right now is like that speed, speed, speed. And I think that's what they need to improve on. Like they have a great, like, I think core of like people responsible age wise, they know the system, their experience and everything else, but that's what I think they're missing is that speed.
I couldn't say it better. I mean, it's noticeable. It's noticeable when I see them play certain teams. It's like, whoa, this team looks like they're playing at a different gear, at a different level, winning. And it's not just skating speed; it's thinking the game speed. I think sometimes Washington, in that regard, is a little bit. Sometimes can be a little bit behind their opponent, but there's no doubt as far as just the look of the, the skating speed's the biggest part of it. But like I said, I've noticed that too. That there's times against certain opponents they look a little bit slower. I was leaning to the under point total for Washington, but we talked about this with Winnipeg, and I'm going to say the same thing here. The odds makers have adjusted to what we
Hmm.
expect Washington to, come back down to earth just a little bit in the regular season. Like their point total is 96.5. So that means if they're going to go under their point total, they have to be
Ooh.
15 points worse than last year when they finished with 111 points. They got to be 96 or worse, 96 or fewer to go under the point total. I don't think I want to do
Is
that.
that what Vegas has?
Yeah, I don't think I want to do that. To go that
That's
low on
that's almost
Washington.
that's almost that's almost putting them out of the playoffs, I think, no?
That's putting them life or death to make the playoffs. Or yeah, right. Like 90, 91 can get you in, but you're right. I mean, I think there's definitely some concerns about obviously, um, if you were to line their point total lower than that, you've got them
Yeah.
basically as a team that's battling for a wild card spot, pretty much. So I don't know if they fall that far, but so we'll have to see. Another thing too is Washington had this great start to last year, and I'll
Yeah.
ask you one thing, and this was
That's
what we'll
one.
end
Yeah.
on. Ovechkin, because there was so much physical and mental energy exerted in him getting the record, is there a potential of him starting slow this year just because of everything that he went through last year to get that record? Or do you think he just picks up where he left off? Or do you think it's going to take him time to get into that red hot groove, if you will, that he was in as he was tracking down Wayne Gretzky?
No, it's a dice here. Um,
My honest opinion is he will start slow this year, in my opinion. I think he will.
well, it's a good bet because every other season, he started slow. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Um,
He's also had many recent years where his October and November offensively has been nowhere near as good as, say, his February, March, and April
yeah,
offensively.
the way he started last season, I mean, whoever bet on that probably won a lot of money. You know, so that's the thing. So kind of betting on him starting slow. Yeah, that's one of those things where, yeah, you kind of probably winning that bet. I don't know. As much as, yeah, obviously I want him to start, hot and, get it
That's
in,
just and that's just an opinion and a gut reaction, a gut feel for me.
well, I mean, for
He could be
me,
sluggish out of the gate.
what I would love to see, and I mean, everyone thought it's impossible, but I would love for him to start off hot and get to 50, which is incredible again. That makes him at almost 950 goals. That makes he signing for 2 more years to get 1,000. I think that's what he's doing. Depending on the season, how well he's gonna feel and how many goals he's gonna score. So, put a note on that. I feel like if he's gonna be in the like if he scores, let's say I don't want that for him to have. Let's say it's a bad season for him, like 25. I don't know if he resigns, but if he goes, they make the playoffs, and if he scores, let's say 40 and up again, and he's in that conversations like, dude, you signed for 2 more years, you score 25 each, 30, you get to 1,000 goals. Like I know you beat it already, but like I mean, just to put a stamp on it, like 1,000 goals. No one ever done that. I don't think anyone. I mean, yeah, probably someone will break it at some point, maybe, but like not for a long time, maybe. That would be
You think
that
getting
would be
to
a crazy.
1,000 is something that he's really thinking pretty hard about? That hey, maybe I'm gonna give it a go to get this, try to
I
get to
think he,
1,000.
I think he loves the game so much that um, it would be so hard for him to quit. I mean, obviously he spoke already about like going home and then finishing out there. Uh, I don't know, maybe. But I'm just kind of, that would be an awesome story if he,
It
has a
would be.
great season this year again. I'm sure a lot of people are betting under, and I'm
Yeah.
sure a lot of people betting him starting slow. And this is because he already accomplished it. He's not going to really do it this year. I hope he proves him wrong, scores 40 plus again, and then, signs for another 2 years and I don't know, goes for 1,000. I don't think Capitals let him go though. That's the other conversation. Are they letting him go? What's the conversation close to a trade deadline? Like if they're in it, they're not trading him. But what if they're out? That's the conversations happening. Is he staying there? I mean, that's his home. Is he gonna try to go for the Stanley
Is it
Cup?
going to be Crosby loyal to Washington like Crosby is to Pittsburgh, no matter what, even if he's out of contention, or is he going to want to go somewhere and win a cup? Because
I mean,
clearly Crosby's okay staying in Pittsburgh, having no fucking chance at all to win, but maybe
yeah,
Ovechkin's
he's
not wired
that.
that way. Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, that's the wiring. I mean, I don't think it's a disrespect to your organization. I feel like when you accomplish so many things and when you're close to the end, it's all a mentality. Like, how do you want to finish? Do you just want to finish to actually going for it one last time and having an opportunity? It all depends who probably they'll probably be like, all right, who's asking? who's asking, who wants, and seeing, if there's a chance. Like, do you want to go there? I feel like that's all just part of mentality, and just what kind of like psychological, what's in your heart, what do you feel at that moment, and how the season is going. You know what I mean? Maybe season goes so bad for, Pittsburgh, that Crosby just, he hates to lose. Obviously, all of us hate to lose, hockey players. You'll be just like, you know what, like this been really shitty. Let me go somewhere that I can at least, end it on a high note or something like that. But he's not retiring, no way. He can play. I feel like he can play for like 4 years more.
I say he plays minimum 2 more seasons. I think he'll play 2 more. I think he
Two
can
more?
2 more. I don't want to go, but because
But
3 once we get to 3, 4 more years, we're talking, he's going to get to 42, 43 years old, and we'll see.
what is
But
he
I
now?
think 2 more. I think
He's
it's
30.
reasonable to say he'll play 2 more at
What is
least.
he going to be, 30? He's going to be 38. He's 38 this year. He's an
Ovechkin's 40.
87. Oh, Ovechkin. I'm not
He's
talking
80.
about, no.
Oh, no.
He's
Oh,
85. I was talking about Crosby. I
oh,
think
Crosby.
Crosby
Oh, Crosby. Yeah, 2 more years easily. Oh, easily for
easily.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
For Ovechkin, I think if he signs a contract, that's 2 more years. That's it, tops.
Yeah.
And again, depending how this goes, that's what I want for him to have. I don't know what's going to happen. I'll put money. I'll be the nice guy. I'll put money. He starts off well. He doesn't slump. He starts off okay. Maybe not as hot as you started, and then he just kind of goes smoothly and scores his 40 plus again.
There you have it. Yeah, so I don't have too many opinions on player props for the season for Washington players. The only thing I would say is I'm not totally convinced Protas is going to fall off completely. I think he's got a great skill set. Maybe come back down to earth a little bit, but I'll still look
Are they
long and
bet?
hard at 30 goals for Wilson at plus 260. Kind of interests me. Plus 800 for Protas to get 30 goals this year.
Right.
Plus 800. And Protas is a guy that had 30 goals right on the button last year. So does he fall back a little bit? Maybe, but like I said, at that price, I don't mind taking a shot with it.
He's 24. He had 6 goals. Now he has 30. Oof.
And he didn't play 82 games. It was 30 goals in 76 games.
Okay.
And what if he actually gets better? What if he gets even better? Which is people are talking like Protas and McMichael and Wilson. All these guys are going to go in the tank not go in the tank, but decline, regress offensively. What if one or both of these guys? What if they actually improve? But that's possible too, especially Protas when he's just starting to scratch the surface at 24 years old.
Yeah, I think he's the one out of that group that can probably go over. Be not again 30 and over.
Yeah.
Who knows? Just with his size, shot and the way he plays, I think, and the age. I don't know about others. I think others, for a lot of others, it's, I'm not saying it's the ceiling, but somewhat. It's the same thing for the Capitals. I think, what they reached last year, I think with the roster they have, it's the ceiling for them. For 111 points, I think the floor is right there battling for the spot.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
I think they're in the middle. I think they make the playoffs. I
do too. I've got people, and I respect them. I respect every NHL bettor and handicapper I talk to. A lot of them are friends of mine, but some people are saying they're going to fall out of not even make the playoffs. I'm not ready to go that far when it comes to the Washington Capitals, regressing a bit. I still think they're a playoff team, but like I said, I definitely don't think they're going to hit 111 points, though. Once again, like they did
for them not to
year.
hit the playoffs, what is it? They got to go to 90.
Plus 135 to miss the playoffs for the Capitals is the price on that. Yeah,
it's a nice bet, but no, that's a no.
I still think they'll get in. I still think they'll get in.
Like I said, I think
they'll come back down to earth a little bit.
That's a 20-point swing.
Yeah.
For the playoffs.
And again, there's people saying that Protas is a one-hit wonder, that Wilson's going to not have that same offensive year. Can McMichael do it again? That Ovi is going to, Father Time's going to hit him hard. That's a lot of ifs and maybes to think Washington's going to fall that far.
I think you never know. Maybe they'll fall in the beginning, But I think they still get 42 wins, and then
That's
they
where I'm
crack
at with
that.
Washington. I'd rather fade them in the beginning and maybe they get going later in the year. I think they might start slow,
I
especially
think so
Ovechkin,
too.
as I mentioned. But plus all the euphoria. One thing too is I found this is one other reason why I think they might start slow. Once he got that record,
They're like,
they struggled after that to end the regular season as a team. And then in the playoffs, it never found like they played at the level they did throughout much of the regular season. The Montreal series was a grind for them, even though they won. And then, of course, Carolina, they really had a tough time.
that
So
high wore off. Yeah,
it
that
did.
high. Yeah,
It did.
it
I
did.
think that took something out of them. It really did. Yep. It really
I
did.
think it did. I mean, they were so just they kept going. I think they were just having so much fun, and they were just like by that ride. And then it kind of when it was gone, I think it just kind of like like when it's a crazy busy day with lots of things happening. When you finally come home, it's like the hammer hits you on the head. You're just like drained. It could have been something like that. Because after that, yeah, they were struggling after that. Even right by that record, they were struggling. Like they were
Yep.
not playing that well at the end. It was, I mean, Chicago they beat, but like when they playing Islanders, they lost. Then next weekend, I think I don't remember if they won or not, but they weren't playing the best game.
No, they did. I think, like I said, I think physically, mentally, and emotionally, some starch and some steam got taken out of the Capitals when Ovechkin got the record and broke Wayne Gretzky's record as the all-time goal scorer. No question. All right, we're back to wrap things up with Nikita and our Washington Capitals preview in just a moment, right after we hear from our brand new smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys Show, our friends at Royal Cannabis.
Royal Cannabis, where the kings and queens shop.
20% off. Check it out. Promo code Ice Guys, RoyalCannabisShop.com. Nikita, great job. We loved, great to hang out again. It's been too long. We wish you all the best, of course, with work and personally with the family and everything else going on in your life. But before we wrap it up, any last words you want to say about the Capitals or anything else?
No, man, I appreciate you having me over. It's good, always great talk hockey. Um, you know, betting on Caps, to make the playoffs. That's for sure. I hope you and the guys have a good betting season.
The grind is
Playoffs,
here, man.
everything.
7 days a week. This show gets going again starting October 7th. So summer's over. 7 days a week. NHL live, NHL breakdowns of the daily NHL slate from a betting perspective every day, courtesy of the Ice Guys show starting October 7th. So it's time to work. Time to go to work.
Time to go to work, man. Well, I appreciate having me on, man. It's always a good time.
No doubt. We wish you well as well. For Nikita Kashersky, I'm Ian Cameron. This has been your Washington Capitals season preview video as 32 teams in 32 days rolls along courtesy of the Ice Guys.